On Sunday, I very briefly mentioned the issue of Jesus and justice, but really didn't have the time to talk about it all that much, so I want to say a little bit more here. The point was this: emphasize Jesus, not justice. The reason I included that was because there's nothing wrong with justice, but it can easily sidetrack us pretty quickly. People will say, to care for the poor and the needy, that's the work of Jesus. Well, not really. He came to seek and save the lost. That is the work of Jesus. And it's common for people to emphasize wonderful works of justice, giving clean water to those who don't have it, for example, or working on issues of slavery around the world, sex trafficking. Those are wonderful things. But the longer you work on issues of justice, the more common that you keep your mouth closed about Jesus. The reason that happens is because you get pats on the back for giving clean water, but not for telling people they're headed for hell. If you speak up for justice for those who can't speak for themselves, but you keep your mouth closed about Christ, that is not the work of the Great Commission. Justice is a big deal. The book of Proverbs says that the wicked turn their hearts from the poor, but the righteous are concerned about the poor. So we should care about justice, but never justice without the gospel. When we practice justice without prioritizing the gospel, all we do is make their temporary life better, and we haven't fixed their greatest problem. If we give them food and clean water but don't help them stand before God one day, what have we really accomplished? And if they stand before God with a full stomach and a quenched thirst, but they stand there with their sin, what have we done for them? Having clean water isn't going to help them there. Jesus without justice isn't a long-term solution. God wants us to live justly and to spread justice. If you have Jesus, justice will follow. So Jesus without justice doesn't make sense. But justice without Jesus, that is putting a Band-Aid on an open gunshot wound. It may cover the wound, but if that's all we do, that wound will kill them. Jesus without justice, ineffective. Justice without Jesus is tragic. So we go to Chad and we even start with justice there, but we start with justice for a gospel purpose. Justice is an effect of the gospel. It is not the gospel. And Christians tend to go to one of two extremes. They try to define justice as the gospel, or they ignore justice because it isn't the gospel. Let's dialogue about this a bit. What thoughts do you have on emphasizing Jesus and not justice, or emphasizing justice and we tend to ignore Jesus?